So I'm here at NTU, or the National Taiwan University, and I'm visiting a library designed by Toyo. So I'm approaching a building. This is the building of the College of Sciences. What I'm not sure of is that if this building was designed by Toyo. From here you can already see that all glass building is the library that we are visiting. Right now it's about 11 a.m. and it's still closed. And it's a holiday still, I think. So I find this building, the main building, interesting. It's very pragmatic, very rectilinear. All the columns are on orthogonal grid. And I like the concrete finish. This must be precast concrete. And just that I wish we can go up, but you can see that it is closed and it's pretty open. From the outside, actually it reminds me of La Habitation of Le Corbusier. So this is the view from the building looking out to the street, and then you can see the detailing of the walls. With those pegs of the precast concrete, and then you have a hole, a cutout for the toilet. So there's no door. So this is just a bit weird. It's supposed to be here. So before we go to the Toyo building, I want to explore this area first. I actually like the detailing because, you know, if it rains, you have glass blocks here, and then you have a groove for the drainage. So the flooring is tiled, and then you can see that it's see-through. It's open. Tagusan siya. And we can argue that this is a Brutalist building with all those exposed wiring, And if you have a design like this, you need to organize everything. So even though the wirings are exposed, the supports are exposed, it has to be clean and organized. So we cannot enter, but I wish we can go up because the rooftop of the building that we are going to visit has a nice roofing design. And as you can see, although this is in Chinese or Mandarin character, probably this is the directory made of acrylic. This is the concept of Toyo for the library, and now they made it into wall graphics. And the reason why I'm showing this is because to show you that the library is very iconic to the point that, you know, it can become a graphic inspiration. So I want to go out again, and I think you can access the upper floors through this elevator, which we will try to do later. And you can see the directory. This is the library by Toyo, and this is the main building, which, you know, I'm not sure if this is still by the same architect. So I love the openness. This can work well with a tropical country. And this is a lecture hall. I love how open the building is, and then all of a sudden you have a door to a lecture hall. And I love the finish of the door. Ang sarap ng pakiramdam that this is very democratic, very open, and anybody can just go in. And the buildings are just an accessory that you just use. And look, let's appreciate the main building. And this is the Toyo Library. So they organized the bikes here. And at night, I was here yesterday. I saw some students studying by the window. So you can really appreciate the activity happening inside. And right now, I think there's a, if not a roll-up blind, yeah, it's roll-up blinds, but there's some fritted patterns. That cover the interiors, probably to block the sun, direct sunlight. So if you can notice, this area is supposed to be an open space. So this new building, I'm not sure how new this is, completes the quadrant to create this open space, and then the library becomes the centerpiece of it. And you can see the pattern of the grass. It was also derived from the concept of this library, that it becomes memorable, arguably iconic, and becomes an inspiration for the graphics that we saw earlier. So this is the library. It's surrounded by an artificial, I'm not sure if it's artificial, but it's a moat. Definitely it's not for recreational purposes. Again, I was here yesterday. I was supposed to enter through these steps, and I realized that it's a fire exit. So you can already see some parts of the interior already. I love how the glass wraps around the interior space, even covering the column. Na-imagine ko that the tables are also customized, because this is something that you don't see commercially. And I love those seating areas, those lounge areas. I'm not sure if it's branded or customized for this design. Again, hindi ako sigurado if this was designed by Toyo as well. But the media area, if I'm not mistaken, was also designed well, although very practical, in a practical sense. So this is the hallway parallel to the street. And this is how you enter the library. Right now it's only about 11 a.m. and it's Tuesday, and the library will be open to the public at 12 noon. It's going to open at the lady at the front desk said that we should wait an hour. For visitors like us, if you're not studying here, you don't have an ID, you just need an identification card or a passport to surrender, so that they will allow you to enter the library. So, College of Sciences, NTU, this is probably the formal lobby. So this is a double height area that signals that this is the main entrance. And in the building there's need to be a hierarchy. So this is the reception for the entire building, which is really nicely detailed. All concrete finishes, the glass wrapping around it, and concrete being like not only the enveloping system but also the structural system. Everything is exposed. In Taiwan, you are still required to wear a mask. So forgive me if I'm mumbling. So that's the Taipei 101. So this is the surrounding area. I would imagine that this was also inspired by Toyo Ito's library. He loves those organic forms. And then I love the negative spaces. So there's no security guard. So, but I don't want to risk going in. But probably I will try later on because we still have plenty of time. Even this building is a very open feeling. So this is the other side of the library. I can see some probably tourists or students taking a photo of this building. Probably they know that this is a unique piece of architecture, that's why they visit it. Beautiful building. So it's interesting that they colored the interior, the inner element of the grid, wherein the rest is whereas the rest of the grid, or probably the structural, is brutalist or concrete. So even the plant box, with that, it has that organic shape, echoing the architecture of this building. So it's just a shame that they have to cover it with roll-up lines, because the concept of the architect is that he wants to blur the inside and outside. That actually gas-gas na mga architects, but it still works, and it's still a beautiful concept, I may say. And if you imagine that all of these organic canopies, and then you have this organic shape, I don't know what to call it, like grass portions, it sort of crawls inside and becomes elevated, because when you see the rooftop, it also has grass covering, except that it's an artificial turf. So if you see that volume over there, that's how you enter this building, some sort of an extension. So they really treated this building very special. So you have a very unique architecture, although it's not that, what they call that, organic or noticeable or striking, but still beautiful in its simplicity. All of a sudden, you have this gem. So let us explore how we can enter this building. It's still part of the College of Sciences. I mean, I think this is the main building of the College of Sciences. And the library is just the extension of it. Because when you Google College of Sciences, NTU, it's the library of Toyo that comes out. So I think my first try would be going through that elevator. So I think this is a customized seating area with different sizes, with the all white finishes and the wood finishes. The equipments blend well. And when you have an object like this, if it's just a one-off thing, even with a Christmas tree, it becomes acceptable because the architecture is so strong. I wonder what's underneath. Oh, it's a kitchen. It's probably their canteen. So they place it under so that you have a view of this terracing garden. Like I was saying, if you have a brutalist building like this, you can get away with machineries like that because it goes well with architecture. So I'm gonna wait for the elevator to empty. I'm gonna wait, and then hanggang walang tao before I try the elevator, because I'm actually shy accessing the upper floors. They're also lost, I guess. So you should try. I think you need an elevator access key card probably to allow you to go up. So the ground floor is very open to the public. The second floor isn't. So I was able to sneak in, to the elevator via the main lobby, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to be here. But I'm here at the piazza at the 3rd floor, and you have an elliptical volume that is the conference hall. So instead of enclosing this in glass to make this air conditioned, they kept it open. So it's a beautiful space to hang out in, and at the same time you have the view of the campus. And of course, why we're here is because we want to view the rooftop of the Toyo Library. So this is the artificial turf, and if you can notice the patterns of the petals or the columns or the capitals, and these are polycarb panels, if I'm not mistaken, that acts as a skylight to the interior so that it will have illuminate the interiors. And at the same time, when you look at it collectively from the inside, you will see those patterns, those organic patterns happening. So I will try to access the topmost floor or a higher floor if I can, because I think it will be more dramatic to see the shapes of the capitals from that level. So I'm not sure if they have a lot of rain here, but I would imagine that those are the drains, probably, because when you see that is the pillar, probably that's where it goes down to, just like the Hirata building that we visited. So there's the access going up. Normally I'll be so OC to expose elements like this, but again, pag ang architecture is strong, this will be irrelevant. I wonder what those are, those pointy black objects. But I'm happy that I was able to access this area. So we are still at the College of Sciences building and appreciating the open space at the 3rd floor. They have a mini garden here. I can imagine students making this a meeting place, momol area, and then hangout area, probably the waiting area for this conference hall. And then you have the staircase going up. So I'm going to be discreet with my camera because I'll still try to access the upper floors of this building. So again, steel railing with some steel detailing. This is rubber. The flooring is made of rubber. So it's really hard wearing, and probably these are the classrooms. Honestly, it feels a little sketchy. It's a bit dark. And that is the Toyo Library. Interesting rooftop. And according to the architect, he wants to allude this to the landscape. Probably if without these buildings, you will see the hill areas, the mountain areas. And now you can appreciate the grass parts on the ground of the open space with the rooftop. So it's connecting. So this is another floor. I'm really loving this NTU College of Sciences building. This can work well with the Philippines, with our context. So it's another level. So let's appreciate the College of Sciences open area at the 3rd floor. So to keep everyone safe, I thought this is supposed to be a hangout area where you can probably take a nap on. More rooms. I wonder if it's a holiday. There's not a lot of students around. And this is not the topmost floor, but you can see that hallway, long hallway. And then, lo and behold, you have the Toyo building from this level. Okay. Let's attempt another climb and let's see if we can go higher than this. Oh no, this is the last floor, I guess. And I can hear some people. I want to keep myself under the radar, so I'd rather go down. I'm pretty satisfied that I was able to access this building. Discreetly, of course. Such a nice building. Like, I'd love to study here. Oh, look at that. The view of the library. So I'm going around this elliptical volume just so to see what's on the other side. And obviously we still have some landscaping here, view of the city, and it has an appendage, like a volume, probably a supporting room. Probably no, I thought it was a part of this, but probably it's like an island for conference, a small conference room. Again, mimicking the amoeba-like or the organic form of the Toyo library. And it's really noticeable that they have those net-like structures that goes well with the entire architecture. And that makes the building, I think, keep the building safe. Maybe if they need to maintain something, there's really nothing underneath those slabs anyway, but I wonder what these nets are for. But here I could understand, just in case some crazy student want to jump up. That will keep them from falling. So another great view of the Toyo building. So instead of just a plain open space, but of course we love open space, gardens, etc. We have this very fantasy-like pattern on the rooftop of the library. As Toyo would call it, a gem inside the quadrant of this College of Sciences buildings. So this is how I was able to enter. The directory. Very cute graphics. Okay. Ito yung elevator na sinakyan ko para makapasok dito. Okay. So let's check out the lobby. There's really no one here, so I guess it's okay to go around with my camera. So you have a nice elevator that is exposed. Works well with the Brutalist aesthetic. Okay. So it's interesting that the structural grid is all concrete and then the inner element or the inner walls are colored. So maybe just to distinguish the program and then the structural. So now I'm beginning to realize that try to imagine this as a waffle, and then the waffle is divided into different sets of programs or rooms, and then the grid, the structural grid becomes an organizing system. So that's how I'm reading it. I could be wrong, and We should have accessed that area. Maybe we should try later if we have more time. But right now I'm here to explore the open grounds surrounding the library. So again, we have the flat, organic forms that echoes the rooftop, the capitals of the Toyo Ito's columns. So this is actually probably a fire exit. This one, these steps. And there's a sign that says, not a recreational pool. So you're not allowed to play around, fool around. And then, so it's not just it's not just a cutout of a grass. You have some detailing of brick size concrete or stone. And I'm sure this was all mapped out. This was all designed, measured by the architect so that it has the same proportion and quality as the library. Interesting that he kept some of the trees, but no, it still has the same ground design. So that's the College of Sciences building. You can see the rooms, and from afar it looks like, you know, they're all organized as a system. And from afar you can see the building behind the Toyo Ito Library as a massive building that is grid-like. You can see the skeleton, the concrete skeleton. And now we have something that stands out at the ground level, which is the library, which is softer and well, it's supposed to be transparent, but it's such a shame that it's all covered up. You can't appreciate the ceiling from this angle. You can't appreciate the transparency and how the architect wanted this exterior idea crawling inside conceptually. It's not visible because of those roll-up lines. And probably the reason, let's try to ask later, if what's the reason behind the roll-up lines, why they had to cover it. Feeling go, it has something to do with privacy. If you're reading, you're distracted. But I've seen other libraries that are very exposed. And I wonder why they had to cover it, because the concept is definitely not obvious anymore. And then you have some areas for fountains, again, echoing the same pattern or forms. So again, the capitals were formed as, again, the capital was painted white with some drip molds there. So from afar it looks clean, but of course up close, over time it will have some dirt. But you know, the overall feeling is still the same, just like the buildings of Oscar Niemeyer. So it becomes more classic. So the whiteness or the dirt becomes more acceptable. So another view from this angle, the water feature that's not too deep, and you can see that the columns are extending outward. It's not really an orthogonal grid, if you notice. They're not aligned, and that was intentional because Toyo Ito wants it to be organic. And then the enclosure is just a cutout of the space. So it was also intentional to wrap around and define the library program. So fast forward, we are now entering the National Taiwan University Library designed by Toyo Ito, and we are approaching, this is the arrival experience of the central space of the library. Right now it's Christmas when I visited, but it's imagine this without the Christmas tree. You just have this white table in the middle. We are approaching one of those aisles, but you notice that the shelves are lower so that you can still view the taller ones. And you have those circular pendant lighting, and then the signages are on the floor so that you don't destroy the design and the patterns that you see around you. And again, you have the custom seating somewhere here, and then you see the petals. This is the underside of those
petals or water lilies or what have you. And then I would assume this is one of those big spaces around the library. And then you can see the amoeba-like, petal-like design DNA or design language of the architecture being reflected even on the furniture. Maybe not much on the lamp, because but I'm sure this was custom made. And then even the carrels, they didn't want to employ other colors, just white and probably just some laminate wood. And then I was pointing at the polycarbonate skylights, and it helps create or enhances the effect of the lighting, so that the petals will have a stronger silhouette as you are going around the space. And again, the signages on the floor, and we see on the perimeter are long desks for studying, and these are all custom made. Even the chairs are custom made, so you can choose your spot, whichever is comfortable for you. And the diffuse lighting, which emits a very relaxing glow into the space. And then you see this small table. It is also a small space in the corner, and it's interesting that they laid it out in such a way that you have some surprises of small spaces around the area, sporadically distributed. Again, the long bench is continued here, and you can see the moat outside. And again, I was pointing out how different, if the blinds are not there, and it all continues to the outside, because as you've witnessed earlier, you also see the patterns on the floor as a grassy area outside it, and what's just basically blocking it are the blinds. The intention of the architect is to connect these two spaces together. So even the signages, I would assume, was also custom made. It didn't need to be complicated. It just makes it simple, so that it will feel as if it was considered and designed with the space. I'm just not sure if they consulted a branding or an EGD expert for this project. And noticeably, you can see the bookends are also the same. They're just all white metal bookends. And again, we are on the hallway, and you saw earlier that it opens to big space. Now a very small interstitial space here. And again, walking along the hallway, and then we have this custom seating. Let me try it on. And this is how it feels like when you're seated here, maybe with a book. I'm just not sure if it's comfortable enough to hang out here longer with a book. And and yes, it feels like a maze, but you will still find your way, because there's a play of levels of the shelves. And in a way, I guess it was intentional. And now we go to the central space. So they created this because it's also a way of wayfinding. It's a form of wayfinding, so that uh, you don't get lost inside the space. And I was pointing out the framing of the polycarbonate panels, and it doesn't matter, because from afar you just see it as all white. You just see that you won't see the framing of the panels that support it. So this is the way going outside, and basically you have all these pillars again replicated. And I was pointing out that wall that is on the corners, and I was distracted by the custom seating. I'm sure this was tailor made for the space. Up close, of course, the detailing might not look perfect, but I can guarantee that this is a very comfortable seating. As I tried it, I tried to sit on it. And then you have some fixed monitor, and as you're sitting, you can see the other side of the building. And the material of the seating is made of a leather, just white leather. And then you have a nice armrest, very wide, comfortable. And as I was pointing out, the monitors are fixed onto the floor, so you cannot move this around anymore. And the desk on the perimeter is continuous here. And I was pointing out the amoeba profile at the topmost part of the wall. And I would assume that this will hide the technical and the mechanical parts of the building. And I was pointing out how this shelves is fixed onto the floor, and how different it is from the wooden laminate shelving. And again, I was pointing out that this is mechanical, electrical, technical stuff hidden into the wall, and yet you still have that metal box on the wall. You can't help notice that there's like a beam, a very strong beam that traverses across the entire library. And this is the vertical part of it. And I was wondering if it's meant for the ducting. Because if you have a very pure petal-like concept like this, now you don't want to destroy it with thick ceiling to hide the air conducting and the other mechanical stuff. And remember earlier, we saw a downspout, a conduit for the water from the rainwater, from the rain. It goes all the way to the moat, and we would assume that aside from the structural, these pillars and even those walls hide the technical and the mechanical, electrical components of this building. But you can't help notice that horizontal thing running across the building because it's really distracting. We can say that it destroys the purity of the design of the ceiling because it works right now because the you have critical mass of those petals under you. And I think I was saying this time um, that while the concept is petal-like or probably water lily-like, since it's dominating the ceiling space, it can be like a cloud under the books. So again, we are exploring the aisles of this library as if you are going through a town or alleyway or street, and then it opens up to this space again. And I was trying to figure out how and I was trying to figure out what this is made of, and this is the underside of the seating, but it has leather seats, and then but it's white. And again, this is you can get lost, but it's easy to find your way around the library because you can see where you're going, and then and you can see again the long traversing beam, but that probably houses the air conducting. And I was exploring what these materials are as I exit, and I noticed that the the tube that connects the National Taiwan University main building, sciences building, and the library is made of aluminum panel, not necessarily reflected in the Toyo Ito building. And this is the view from it, and the carrels around it and the furnishings that was custom made for the space was also echoed here in this area in the media center. And then I tried to explore it, and if you notice that you have those horizontal ceiling components, and I would assume that this shelving with the glass on top is also an echo of that, except that they arranged it in such a way that it's diagonal to create the tension. That's just my reading and assumption of the design of this space, because we are no longer the Toyo Ito uh, petal inspired building. So I was still wondering if this was custom made, or if there's a brand that manufactures this. So let me know in the comment section. And yeah, I was right that the custom seating, I I think this is not branded because this is oddly dimensioned. And this is the fire exit that I was referring to earlier. And you can see that they don't have any blinds, roll up blinds on this side of the building to connect these two buildings together in terms of visual connection. And you can find a comfortable spot in this library wherever it's comfortable, and we can appreciate the very brutalist spiral staircase with an exposed elevator, and then the signage or the EGD on the metal wall. And I was just wondering how the upper floor looks like, as this is still connected visually with the library designed by Toyo Ito. We know that this is a brutalist building, and yet it's still made transparent. So this is the stairs with a very interesting metal lining to demarcate the carpet and the concrete flooring. And you have a typical shelving area which we're not going to explore anymore. Interestingly, the flooring of this building, of this library, this section of the library is also carpet, very similar to the Toyo Ito building. And in the seating, this is again a very big sitting area. This is good for lounging. You can even sleep on it. It's made of metal covered in white leather. And this is the stair, utility stair, I would assume, that we saw earlier. And it's interesting that the petals are designed such a way that it's made to be visible from this space. So all of the sides were actually designed well, so that it doesn't look like an eyesore when you are in the old building or in this side of this building. So I'm trying to enjoy it. It's very hard. It's a hard surface, but I guess to make it a bit comfortable, they covered it with a leather, white leather. Somehow it's more interactive. Try to imagine it as just metal. It will be a bit cold, not just feel wise, but also surface wise. So as you go down, you are made to appreciate the petals, albeit dirty, and the moat, and basically everything is exposed in this old building. So check this out. I just discovered this. This is actually the floor plan of the Toyo Ito Library, and I was right. Based on my reading and assumption, it was laid out in such a way like it's like a maze that opens up to small pocket of spaces that can be a gathering area, that can be like a meeting area, or for your group studies, etc. And the individual studies are actually just around it. So again, it's like laid out like a mini town with those mini piazzas. So I'm just wondering how the glass wall and the columns are related, how they are interacting with each other, because you can see that the glass wall is separated deliberately. So, in order for you to enter this building, you need to surrender your passport, and they will give you a card. And that's what you use, like you're on an MRT or a subway. So you need to swipe that card to get out again. Uh, that is if you're not studying here or just a visitor. I really enjoyed this building, and I hope that you like it, even though it's very different from the usual library that you see around, but still has some similarities with the Frank Lloyd Wright building or the Johnson Wax. I still enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something and you like me showcasing this place. Also, the extra tour of the College of Sciences. So I guess that's it. So I hope to see you soon for another architecture tour.